warm up, Janine, then we'll be
setting up.
Okay. Are we live?
You are now live.
We are now live. Okay, well, welcome everyone to our wonderful program tonight. I am delighted to have travel expert Janine Queenin with us. And we have a jam-packed program, and I know you're really going to love it. So just a little background on how I met Janine and why I asked her to come on. I attended a women's event that Janine was speaking at. And I just loved her. I loved everything about her. I just have always loved, I felt like I had a kindred spirit on many levels, but certainly on the travel front. And we jumped on a call. We had a great conversation. She and I have a love of Italy. That is definitely my all-time best trip. And then I've never gone to Ireland, and that's a bucket list item for me. So she said, why don't I do a tour of both? And I was like, you can do that. So I have searched high and low, and I was actually texting with my family this morning. We do a lot of family trips, and we've always just looked for a great planner, and I think I found one. And I just happened to find her on a women's program. So I think that she is a wealth of information, and her company really is about making dreams come true. And what I really love about Janine, and I love about all of her guides, and she's going to share so much with us tonight. And she's got a passion for this. And I love, if you visit her website, and Sarah Zengo's on the call, and Sarah's going to get you your contact information for Janine. I just love her entire presentation. I love her thought process around where do you want to go? Where have you been? Even just like how you pick a place to go. I was really fired up when we chatted, and I'm just delighted to share her with you tonight. So the first thing that I wanted to ask Janine is, what the heck is going on with travel? When can we actually, you got me super excited, but when can we actually go? And if you can just walk us through what's going on, what's opened, what do you have to be thinking about? I know when we talked, you were talking about health passports and yellow cards and things that I had never heard of before. So if you can just take it from the top, and then we'll get into the good stuff as we go.
Sure. So that is the million-dollar question. What is the future of travel? I mean, I have been to countless presentations and webinars because everyone in the industry is really trying to figure out, when will things open? When can we really start to push people to, a little bit in a nice way, to start planning travel? Because as you can imagine, there are some areas of the world that have been devastated because there aren't tourists there anymore. I mean, some areas they're increase in poaching. There's all sorts of things. Like, tourism is such an important industry. So opening back up is really important. However, everyone needs to be safe. Everyone needs to be healthy. So it's that balance. So what I can tell you is that it's changing day by day. For example, I heard from people on the inside that they expect Italy to be open by July.
Wow.
Right? So fingers crossed, though, and it has to be fingers crossed, because it's hard for us to know. We don't know what's going to happen with the virus. We don't know if every country will have access to the vaccine, but that's great news. As well as Greece has said they will open. They already have said they are open for the summer, and people are starting to book. Even the state of Maryland has changed their policy that there's no more quarantine for out-of-state visitors. So day by day, it changes. And I think the best thing, if someone is thinking about traveling, right now, 65 countries are welcoming citizens of the United States. A lot of them have quarantine requirements, testing requirements, and so on. The best thing to do is just either talk to a professional like me or do a little research, because you don't want to be caught flat-footed, trying to get into a country that you're not welcome at, or having trouble getting home from a country. So it's really important to do your research, or just wait. Wait a few more months. I think in a few more months, we'll really have a good idea what's happening globally. But in the meantime, suppliers, airlines, hotels, they'll continue to do all their safety protocols, cleanliness protocols. There'll still be mask requirements in a lot of places. There'll still be social distancing in a lot of places. So I expect to see those types of things in place for a long time.
So what is the month of, because Jane is a travel planner, she works with people to plan these big trips. Do you have anybody in the pipeline? Do you have a trip planned right now?
You know what, I actually do. I have two different families traveling to Italy, one in July and one in September. And if a person going in July sees this, you are definitely going. Absolutely.
So
I'm feeling good. I'm actually feeling very good. I've been feeling very positive about all the news, like very positive.
Okay, great. So they
I do
have trip insurance, Janine, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's it.
I think insurance so we're going to talk about what the future trends are in insurance. While it's been around for a long time, I will tell you that 9 times out of 10 clients will decline it.
Yes.
And I always offer it. And it always surprises me because I'll say, you wouldn't, so your trip costs $10,000, $15,000. Would you buy a piece of jewelry for $10,000 and not insure it? Probably not, right? It's the same thing. I mean, it's a huge investment. It's an emotional investment too. Planning a big trip is an emotional investment. Think about how crushed everyone was this past year, all of the family celebrations and everything that needed to be canceled. So that's an important thing that I think will be more common in the future.
Okay. So my next follow-up question to that is, so somebody's hoping to go in July, they've got their insurance. When you get there, is it worth going? Like, what are the limitations when you get there? Is it worth it off for another year, or have you already waited enough and you want to go?
Yeah, well, things are starting to open, in different cities. And I think that's the big thing. Like, honestly, I feel like if I could get into Italy right now, I would totally go because think about it. It's always so crowded with tourists. Mm-hmm. And could you imagine being able to go and just being there with the Italians and just experiencing what that's like without the hordes of people? I think that would be pretty amazing. But you're right, because our restaurants open, our bars open, our cafes open, our museums open. You do have to check to see if that is the case.
Okay, so you got to check on what's available, what's open. Masks are going to be required for a while, I would imagine, in most countries, correct? Yes. My last big trip was, I feel so grateful now. In 2019, my mom was on the call, took our whole family to Italy, and it was that summer of 100-degree heat with a lot of people, but it was still fantastic. So Janine always says everybody wants to talk about their travel stories. So I thought I would throw that in up front.
Yes.
Okay. So we're going. We're thinking we're going in July, maybe. We're buying the insurance. We're starting to pack our bags. I thought it was really interesting when we talked. Talk to us about the health passport and the yellow card. That was interesting.
So the yellow card already exists. So anyone who's had to travel to, say, Peru, or had the opportunity to travel to Peru, in some African countries, you have to be vaccinated for yellow fever. It's required to get into the country. And once you're vaccinated, you receive a yellow piece of paper. It's a yellow card that you put into your passport, and you go and you hand it at passport control. And without it, you can't enter the country. So the idea of a health passport is not something new. It's been around for a long time. I think the controversy has to do with the amount of information that will be available, and who will be controlling it. Because instead of just a piece of paper, it will be digital. It will be, available. And is it just that vaccination, or will they be able to find out other things about you? So I think that's a controversial. And the requirement to have received the vaccine in order to fly into cruise. And some cruise lines and some airlines have said, yes, that's how it's going to be. So that's controversial as well. And it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Okay, great. And that does actually bring up one of the other questions I had for you. Can you just talk, before we get into the fun Ireland and Italy tour, can you talk a little bit about the cruise? What's happening with cruises?
I know the cruise industry has been devastated, as you can imagine, and certainly Canada's decision to not allow cruise ships to travel through their waters to get to Alaska is problematic as well. That said, the cruise industry probably didn't do themselves any favor early on in the pandemic with some of their actions, and I think that they're going to have to regain some trust. However, some people love to cruise. I mean, they love it, and people have already started to book. I mean, people who love to cruise all the time. So I feel like it might be a good opportunity because the cruise industry is huge. And one of the reasons there's so much over tourism in some areas has to do with the cruise industry. If you look at Venice, one of the reasons why there are 20 million visitors a year is because of the cruise industry. So maybe it is a good opportunity to think about scaling back a little bit and protecting these places that are so vulnerable when so many tourists go there. So I'm hoping that they strike the balance of protecting the tourism industry and the people who work for the tourism industry and protecting the places we love. So it's delicate balance.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. We were talking, so thank you for sharing that. Okay, so as we segue into our Italy and Ireland piece, which I'm super excited to go on a virtual fantasy vacation with you, Janine. I think we all are ready. Who out there in our audience is ready? I know I am. But can you share I thought it was really interesting when you told me how you fell in love with travel. So if you could share a little bit of that, your first trip, and I see the smile and on your website. So I thought that would be interesting for people to hear.
So we were talking about that on my website. I have that story on the About Me page. I have this story, and this is a true story, and it's absolutely sincere. So I never traveled as a kid. We never went. My family didn't travel. And then when I finished college, I decided to backpack around Europe with a friend. And the story starts off that I had a brand new passport, and it was true. And I remember so clearly walking up the stairs in Piccadilly Circus in London, and it was nighttime. And if anyone has been there, you know what it's like. It's just chaos and lights and buses and people and smells and everything. And I gasped when I walked upstairs, and I just said, oh my God, this is amazing. And I loved it. I just knew then that I wanted to try to travel as much as possible. And then later on in life to try to share that with other people and help people have that same, wow, like that same breathless, I can't believe this. So, and that's out there for everyone.
Filene's basement for the first time. I had so I can relate to that. I was like, I found my home.
Oh, I remember Filene's basement. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I love when people are passionate about what they do. And I just love sharing people with our group that have an interesting take on everything. And I love that story. So next question for you. Favorite trip ever, where and why?
So we've talked about my favorite destination is Italy, but I have to say my favorite trip was to Taiwan with my husband and my kids. And he travels to Taiwan a lot for business. And a few Christmases ago, he had an emergency, like a business emergency. And he said, I need to travel now. How about we go to Taiwan and spend Christmas in Taiwan? And we did, and it was amazing. It was so much fun. And the kids really, really got into it and leaned into the experience because, you know, traveling to Asia is so different than traveling to Europe or any place domestically. They really leaned into it. And we just had such a blast and did things that, you know, you never would think you would do and saw things that were so out of the ordinary and ate food. And it was just really such a great trip. And because it was spur of the moment, I think it made it more special.
Oh, cool. Great.
Yeah. And just if anyone, Taiwan is a really amazing destination. People don't really think to go to Taiwan when they go to Asia. So just keep that, consider it.
That's a good tip, Sarah. Get that tip in the chat. And also let us know in the chat where your favorite trips are too. We love to read the comments after this. And I just love to know where people have gone and what they like. So not only where you've gone that was a favorite trip, but why. I just love to know that. So the next piece of our program, and we're right at 7:15, is Janine is going to bring us on a virtual tour of, do you want to do Italy first and then Ireland?
You know what? They run right into each other. I just did one presentation.
Oh, okay.
So we do start with Italy though.
Okay. So
that's okay.
It's going to get you excited and to start planning your trips. And, you know, in the course of what we do is we always say that we go on trips with people because when we help them prepare for trips, I think that planning the trip is as exciting as actually going on it. So again, I'm just delighted to have Janine here and give us some hope and give us some ideas to dream. And I don't know about you guys, but this is a really big week. I mean, it's a year since the shutdown this week. And those of you that had trips, I know how disappointing that is. And in our, we got together as a team this week, and we just all kind of paused and said, wow, a year and we're through it. And I don't know about you guys, but there's definitely a different vibe in the air right now. Of course, Mother Nature is helping in the Northeast. We're having really nice weather here in New England. But there's hope. And I think travel represents hope. And that's why another reason why I wanted Janine to come on tonight. So I'm going to let her take it away now and give us a little fantasy tour. I'm ready.
Very nice. Well, you're right, because there have been studies that show that the planning and anticipation of a trip is almost as exciting and meaningful as taking the trip itself. So that's fun. So I do have to, that's not what I want. I'm sorry. Here we go. Sorry, it's taking me a minute.
Oh,
there we go.
Woohoo! I remember that.
All right.
Oh my goodness.
So we're heading to Italy. And the interesting thing about Italy, and I know people know this, but if you haven't been there, it really is like visiting a lot of different countries. I mean, I looked this up before I came on because I was curious that, Italy didn't become a country until 1861. And prior to that, it was all different city-states. So I don't know about you, Mary Lou, but I really feel like you feel the difference in each region. It's almost like a different country. And that's why going to Italy again and again, it's a different trip every single time. Like you could go back to Italy a dozen times, get yourself out of the cities and really experience something different, and different food, different everything. So it's really amazing. So anyway, this of course is.
We went with a group to Italy. We went with 19 people. So we had it was my mom, a big birthday for my mom. So great that she took us all, but we had the young people with us. We had, 20, the college kids. They loved Rome, and we all loved Tuscany. But my favorite port, Janine, was Siena. I couldn't believe that. Loved it.
It's beautiful.
I had never been to Tuscany before. I'd been to Rome, but I had never been to Tuscany. So I'm loving these pictures that you're showing. And do you personally what's your favorite part of Italy? What part?
So I recently visited the northern part of Italy near the Dolomites, and it was amazing. It has a really strong Austrian influence, but it's just gorgeous up there, just gorgeous. And the vineyards, and I really enjoyed that. But I have to say that I love Florence. I love Tuscany. I mean, Tuscany's magical. In Florence, you think about walking those streets,
right?
That have just, in Rome too. That's what always amazes me. You think, who has walked there? Who has walked through this door? I just love that. And the fact that it has survived all this time is really amazing.
Yeah. And for us, the day that we were in Florence, it was like 105. And we survived it. But of course, I wanted to buy a leather jacket. That's all I wanted to do. And I couldn't. My son, Tim, and I, the rest of the crew went over to the Domo. Is that what you call it? And Tim and I went and had lunch. We had a beautiful lunch, but I said, Tim, and I was going to buy him a leather jacket. I'm like, we can't put leather on.
No.
So I owe him a leather jacket.
I know. This is Cinque Terre.
Oh my goodness.
And it's amazing. It really is. It's like they call it the Italian Riviera, and it's just these houses built into the rocks, and it's just these really steep hills, and you can go and you can hike along the shore. And each little town, there's 5 different little towns, they just each have their own flavor and own vibe. So it's really a nice place to visit. You can go. There's not a ton to do, but you could go and certainly make it a couple nights and experience that part of the country.
Really cool. Really.
So of course this is Venice.
Oh yeah, Venice. Oh.
And some people poo-poo going because it's so touristy, but if you think about how this was built and that it still exists, first of all, it's magical, I think, and miraculous. So it really would be a shame if you're close by and you decide not to go because people have told you it's too crowded or something like that. It is so worth a trip just to experience walking through those streets, those little narrow streets, and even jumping on a gondola. Well, it's super touristy. It's amazing. You're in Venice. Oh, it's wonderful.
I've never been there. That's on my list. Oh, look at this picture. Oh my goodness.
So this is the Amalfi Coast.
Oh, the Amalfi Coast. My mom and my sister went there the week before they hooked up with us. Oh my goodness.
Just
That's
beautiful. Just
that's
beautiful.
amazing. We so want the warm weather, don't we? Oh, look at
We do. And this is
my
Assisi
goodness.
in
You
Umbria.
know what?
I try to do a picture from different places around, just so you can see how different it looks. Really, there's a different feel, a different look in every region. And of course, this is Florence.
Oh, yeah.
So you're saying your Florence experience. So we stayed within like a stone's throw of the Duomo. Like we could see it out of our hotel window, but we had a car, and everyone said, "Do not have a car in Florence. Don't do it." We're like, it's fine. We literally had to call our hotel, and they had to come rescue us, because you know how the streets so if we haven't been there, the streets are teeny tiny, ancient medieval streets full of people. And then picture me and my husband in a little tiny Italian car trying to get down. It was not pretty, but it's a beautiful, beautiful city, walkable and just gorgeous. So worth a visit.
With the watches and the jewelry.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
It's so beautiful.
Had a Tuscan farm about 20 minutes from Florence. So we went into Florence quite a bit. It was really something.
Oh, nice. You rented a house? Is that what you said?
You rented
a
on a 300-year-old farm, which was I can get that when I go into the chat. I can let people know it was a family-owned farm where they make wine. It was just really out of this world. It was fabulous.
Yeah. And think about that. Where else can you do something like that? A 300-year-old farm, how amazing that is. So of course, this is the Coliseum in Rome, and I still think it's amazing that it still stands. But if you go in, there's an opportunity to go at night and to take a tour, and it's this really small group when it opens again.
Yeah.
But they take you down into the section underneath, where all the gladiators and the animals were kept before the fights.
Really?
It has this feeling to it. It's amazing. And if you have the opportunity, I recommend that you do. You do have to buy tickets in advance because they're limited, but you see it in a completely different way. And then of course you come upstairs and the entire Coliseum is lit up, and there's hardly anyone there. So it's a nice way to see it without all the crowds.
Oh, that's a great tip.
So these are the Dolomites, and you can see how it really looks different. And you can drive in. We drove in from Austria and almost got killed. There's like really crazy curvy road that we didn't understand how to drive on. It seems like that's like a recurring theme for us in Italy. We don't know what we're doing. And wait till we get to Ireland. We didn't know what we were doing there either. But it's just so beautiful and just gorgeous and breathtaking, and in a completely different experience from being in the south of Italy, where it's really hot and it's just a different
My husband
feel.
lived in Fano for a year. He played baseball in Fano, and he
really
still has his driver's license from Italy, so he was able to drive when we were there, no problem. But yeah, he said it was the most magical year of his life. He just he learned the language. He was in a community where there wasn't much English, and it was an interesting story. They really were trying to build up the Italian baseball league. So he actually played in a professional league in Italy, and what they asked him to do was coach little kids during the day. So he had like this dream year, but he said he would get in his car and just go, like on weekends, he would just go to Florence, drive 12 hours. Mm-hmm. And he still talks so fondly about it. So for us to go there last summer, or 2 summers ago now, with the kids and watch him experience it again. And he said the same thing as you did, Janine, that it's just every single section has such a different feel. He'd go back every year if he could. He loves it.
Yeah. Yes. I would too, honestly.
Yeah.
So this is Sicily, and Sicily is a completely different feel as well. So I think what I would recommend, I know people go and they want to see as much as they can, but don't try to do that. Like pick an area and then really enjoy it, experience it. I always say to people, tell yourself you'll have a chance to go back someday, even if you don't, because otherwise you just rush and don't really see anything. And I feel like part of the joy of especially Italy is sitting at a cafe, having a glass of wine and just watching the nightlife unfold in front of you and
watching the kids
having that experience.
Yeah, the first night we were in Rome, we were all kind of jet lagged, but we all gathered in one of those, just to your point, just these beautiful people watching places. And to watch my kids experience that was just, they were 20. It was just unbelievable to see their whole experience evolve from that one experience.
Yeah, and they got to be together too, all the cousins and everything too. So that's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it for Italy. Okay. Sicily's beautiful.
Bye,
and it just
bye, Italy. To your point too, Janine, we kind of settled at the farmhouse and we did day trips, and some there's ones that we did all together, and there was others, and I can't remember the name. My mom's on the phone, she would know. My mother, my sister-in-law, and my brother, the four of us went to this beautiful town in Tuscany. You probably know it. Kind of off the beaten path, but like just didn't even plan it, but we just kind of meandered over there and had a beautiful day. It's just beautiful.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of towns like that. So the last time I was in Italy, we went to Tuscany and spent the day with the chef. And we were in this little tiny town. We were in the butcher. We went with the cheesemonger. We were, doing all these things. And it was just, it was like this tiny town, speck of a town. Yeah, but they had all these beautiful stores with this amazing food. It was so wonderful. And those experiences are everywhere in Italy, you just have to find them to be able to experience them. So now we head to Ireland. So it's completely different look and feels.
Sullivan is my maiden name, has never been to Ireland. What's up with that, right?
I know, what is up with that?
I don't know what's up with that. I have to change that. This definitely, that is I think it might be our next trip. I think so.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's so lush and green, and it really just looks different. I have a little map here too, looking at all the different, it's a very different looking map, but where a lot of the tourist attractions are. But as you know, that there's the Ireland and then Northern Ireland, or the north of Ireland, as depending on who you ask, right? And they're all gorgeous, but I really do recommend, if you have time, taking time to go to the north, because it is just hands down one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. And not as many people go there. Of course, with the Game of Thrones, more people have started to go there because there's so many Game of Thrones sites there. But this is, of course, Dublin, which is a nice city, super easy to get around, very walkable, very friendly. Everyone's very friendly. So it's a lot of, if you're going to do Dublin, I'd say you don't need more than 2 days, to be honest. There isn't, there's some historic sites, but unless you just like to go to pubs and want to have that, be in the city and people watch and things like that, you can probably do 2 days in Dublin and then move on.
Great advice. And that was one of our disappointments. Our son was supposed to be at the University of Dublin in the fall, and we were family to see him. So that was a pretty big disappointment for him and for us. So we definitely need to get back. But that's good. That's good advice on Dublin. That's really good advice.
So this is Kilkenny, but the reason I put this in is because, you know what, you do need to go to the pub, even if you don't drink. So much of life in Ireland has to do with the pub, and everyone's local. Everyone has a local, and then there's music, but it's also where just people gather. So try to get off the tourist track. Don't necessarily head right to the tourist pubs. Go into a local. People will be friendly. It really, I've never had the experience where I walk in and the music stops and everyone stares at me or anything like that. So just get a little bit off the beaten path and you'll have some great experiences. Plus a lot of those pubs are hundreds and hundreds of years old. I went into a pub that was built in like 14 something, and the rafters, we all had to kind of bend. But can you imagine that still exists? And it's called the Adam and Eve. It was just the neatest place. Wow. So this is the courtyard in the Blarney Castle. I'll move us so you can see this a little better. This is I just thought this was a really cool picture. And the point is, there are so many castles, like castles you can see and you can visit, but also you're just driving down the road and there'll be a ruin, almost everywhere you look. Honestly, there are castles everywhere. So if you're a fan of castles, medieval knights and all that, Ireland is definitely for you.
Oh, great. Okay.
So this is Cork. another city, fun city, and it's kind of down the southeast coast. And if you're driving over to Killarney or something, you could stop there and enjoy some time.
Wow, that's where my family's from, Cork.
Oh yeah. So this is the national park in Killarney, and I just think this is a beautiful picture. And this is a gorgeous park. And one of the things I like best about this park is the Gap of Dunlow. This was hands down one of my favorite experiences. And we walked this. I think it's 7 miles. And some people walk it. You can take this horse-drawn carriage, but it's super far, but it's worth it. And it's one of the most beautiful sceneries. And then you come out on the other side to a lake in this little like cafe. It was so worth it. If you have it in you to do the walk, definitely do it. And this is Belfast. So again, we were talking about Northern Ireland. Belfast, they have put so much time, effort, money, and everything to rebuild the city and make it a destination that people would like to visit, after all the troubles. And so they've done a really great job, and they're amazing hotels and restaurants and historic, what are they called? Black cab tours and other things like that. And of course, the Titanic Museum is there as well. So I think Belfast is really worth a visit. And a lot of people overlook it when they're planning their Ireland itineraries.
Really good to know. Janine, while we're going through these, tell people about what you have going on. Janine has 2 amazing events that Sarah's going to pop into the chat if she hasn't already. And they're free she's inviting all of you, which is just so generous of her. But tell them about the one to Ireland first, and then the one to Italy.
Oh, sure. So I somehow managed to put together this amazing free. I just laugh at it because I reached out to people I work with in Ireland, and they were so willing and eager to help me put this event together. So we're having a Saturday session at Adair Manor, which is in County Limerick. It's this beautiful old manor house, gorgeous golf course. So we're going live to that location. And there's there'll be Irish music. There'll be someone teaching us how to make a proper Irish whiskey. And then of course, we'll be talking about Ireland. We'll be looking at different, we'll have a kind of a travel log. We'll look at different locations, secret locations and hidden gems all over Ireland. It will be really fun. And so that's March 20th. We're doing that.
Sarah will get back in chat. So I said to Janine when we were chatting, and this all came together so quickly. I met Janine 3 weeks ago. But I said, usually we provide some kind of giveaway, or we have a contest. And she's like, well, I have this event. You think your folks would like to know about that? So tonight's gift is really to all of you. You're able to make it. And Janine also has some really cool, if you can't make it, she has generously sent us a PDF of how to plan a trip to Ireland and Italy. So thank you very much, Janine. But if you guys want to go, I'm actually going to be on vacation, so I can't go. But I did go on and peek, and it's amazing what you've done, Janine, really. So
thanks.
Events on the 20th is the Ireland one, and then talk about the Italy one.
Oh, the Italy one will be great too. I became friends with the chef that I mentioned earlier. His name is Andre Anacini, and we are going to his home in Tuscany. So we will be in his kitchen. He will show us how to make a pasta, how to make this chocolate cake, and then we're going to take a walk through his vineyard to go to his cousin's winery. We'll go into the wine cellar. He'll talk about wine, and then we'll go back to his house and he'll finish making the pasta. And he is just a really fun, lively character who enjoys talking, enjoys people. And I think it'll be a really fun event. It's like definitely will be mobile. So we'll see how that goes. But he and I did a run through yesterday, and just walking through the vineyard, the sun setting over the Tuscan hills, that alone is worth the trip. So
I was just there. I mean, I can visualize it because the farmhouse that we stayed on, they had the working winery. To your point, we did a lot of downtime at the farm. There was 2 pools. We could walk the property. We always had meals as a family. We had a cook come in, and my mother did such a great job of planning it. And my brother had a connection to this farm. but you really just saying that, it just brings you back. I know we're a little bit after 7:30, Janine.
All right.
I wanted to, and this is how Janine has, I mean, we all have our COVID story, and Janine's has been just remarkable in the fact that she has used the time to pull these events together and is offering them to her community, and sharing it with ours is just awesome. So Janine, thank you. I think there's a lot of travel buffs out there, and I'm just delighted again to find you, Janine. I've been, our mission with this group is to find experts that, Gina and I were talking, you can always find something, you can always link fashion to travel, and you can always link fashion to everything. So I definitely put in the chat where you're gone. I'm sure we'll have Janine back. Maybe we can go on another one of my bucket list items is Morocco. So maybe you can take Morocco.
Yeah.
That's one of the places I want to go. And I've also never been to Alaska. So that would be another place that I would love to find out more about. But Sarah's got, anybody can sign up to do any of Janine's amazing events. She's got the Ireland and the Italy one. And then Sarah's also including, if you sign up for the events, you get the downloads as part of that. But if you can't make
Yes.
it, Janine has made those available to all of you. So I thought that was really cool, because usually only 3 people get our giveaways, Janine. And tonight, everybody that wants them can get them. And I just wanted to, like, a big shout out to my mom. She has just done these amazing trips for our family. And I loved when I was on Janine's website, and part of her whole philosophy is dreaming. And my mom always has like a big birthday in mind. And then to Janine's point as well, I think I've seen the joy that she gets out of the anticipation and the planning, and you really kicked it out of the park on the Italy trip. And she also has been all over the world. And I would love to know what your favorite trip is, Mom. I don't know if she knows how to put her. I don't know if she knows how to join the chat, but she's out there. And we all said as a family, thank goodness her 80th birthday trip to Italy wasn't in 2020. Thank goodness it was in 2019. So we're going to sign off tonight. I'm going to be away next week, but I might join. I'm actually going to be in Sarasota, Florida. How lucky am I? I'm actually visiting my mom. And I think what I'll do is, it's going to be St. Patrick's Day next Wednesday. So if I can get my act together, I'll pop in and we'll toast St. Patty's, and I'll try to do it on the beach or something fun like that. So I hope all of you guys have a great week, and happy St. Patrick's Day. If I don't see you, I'm hoping to. And again, Janine, thank you so much. You are just a wealth of information, and you're just got such a great way of explaining things and storytelling. And it was awesome having you. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Okay. Thanks, Janine. All righty. We'll see you guys next week. See you later. Bye.